Welcome back to Miniature Cockapoo. And today's video is going to be on what you should consider if you're thinking about becoming a single dog parent. If you've watched previous videos of ours, then you'll know that I am a single dog owner, so it's just me and Millie. And everything that I'm going to mention today is what I thought about before getting a dog. Some of these are things that you've got to consider even if it's not just you getting the dog, so you are getting it with like your partner or if you're a family getting it. But others you've got to take a bit more seriously if you're thinking about doing it on your own, because it is a bigger commitment. And I'd like to apologise now if you can hear chewing, because Millie's got a dinosaur down here, not a real one. And before we get into the video, if you don't already, then please subscribe. And if you enjoy this video, then please give us a thumbs up because it really supports the channel. So the first thing that's on my list is something that everyone thinks of when getting a dog, and is probably the only consideration that a lot of people take into account is, can you afford it? Now this is important if you're a single person, because you've only got one income, you've only got your income to be able to look after that dog. So all the costs of having a dog is dependent on you, and you haven't just got all your initial costs, like the cost of buying the dog or the rescue cost, things like your bowls, leads, all of those things that you'll combine, they'll last you a while. You've also got all your long-term costs, so insurance, vet bills, grooming appointments, daycare if needed, dog walkers, all of these build up. And I think even if you look into how much your dog's going to cost you and you get a rough plan, they always end up costing you more. I looked into it all and worked it all out. And then you end up being sucked into Instagram ads and become addicted to buying them accessories, which is an unforeseen cost that you didn't see. They're worth every penny, but be prepared for them to be expensive and for how much they do cost. So yes, you can have a dog on a budget, but there are things that you've just got to pay, that you've got to have food, and food can dramatically vary in price, and it all depends on what quality of food you want to get them as well. So all of these factors you need to look into before you get a dog and get a rough idea of how much it's going to cost you, and then can you afford that. The next thing to consider is again something that you need to consider if there's more than just you, but with it just being you, it's a bigger factor, and it's, do you have the time to give to them? Especially when they are a young puppy, they are a massive time commitment, because of the amount of training that you've got to do, and you can't really leave them alone for very long. For example, Millie, when I got her, I was working from home so I could give her all the time, but even then I didn't feel comfortable leaving her alone because she would cry and scream the house down until she was about 12 weeks old. So it started off at like 15 minutes and building up it, and it was like nipping out to the shop. I felt like I couldn't nip out to the shop because I couldn't leave her with anyone. She had to be left on her own. So in some ways it ends up being better for them because they have to get used to being left on their own sooner, so you can carry on with doing your normal day-to-day things like going food shopping. But it is hard work because you're the only one who can invest the time into them. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And it's also little things like, yes, you might have the time right now in lockdown, but what was your lifestyle like outside of that? Will you be able to dedicate a couple of hours each day to walking, to training them and spending time on them so they're not alone all the time? At the weekends, are you out partying every night? Or are you quite a homebody where you like going for long walks and they'll easily fit into your life? These are things that you've got to consider. It all comes down to the fact that it's up to you to do it. That you can't split that between you and somebody else. If it's you and your partner that are getting a dog, then one of you could go out one weekend and the other one the next. And if you're going to see friends, where's the dog going to go if you're on your own? All of these things you need to consider before getting them. The next one kind of links back to the time one, and it's, are you willing to put them first? So if you're a single dog owner, you have to say no to a lot of things. Well, I'm not having to at the moment because we're in lockdown. I won't be able to, after work, somebody go, do you want to go for a drink or a meal? I'll have to say no because I've got to get home for Millie. It's a lot like having a child in that respect. You've got to put them first over what you might want to do. You have to be quite organised and plan things in advance, especially if it comes to you're going to be gone for a long period of time and they've got to go into daycare or have a dog walker or like with a family or friend member, because it's not fair on them to be left at home all day on their own just because you're wanting to go out all the time. So if you're not willing to put them first and make them a priority like you would your child, it's not right for you to get a dog. And the next thing kind of all links with the other points as well, but are you willing to put the hard work into them? So if you're not willing to commit the time to train them, you're just going to end up having problems in the long run. Yes, the hard work to begin with, but if you don't invest the time in training them when they're young, they're going to be a lot harder work when they're older. You'll get more of your freedom back and more of your independence and normal life, but with a dog, if you dedicate the time to training them to begin with. It's also got to be you that invests the time into them because they're your dog. So dogs always have one master, and if you're a couple, it doesn't really matter who it is. They'll normally prefer one person over the other and it'll just naturally choose. But if you're a single dog owner and you don't live alone, so let's say you live with flatmates and they've said it's okay for you to get a dog, if they end up spending more time with your dog and doing all the training, then the dog will end up thinking that they're the master and not you. And then you'll have problems later down the line if you ever move out, because they'll have always associated that person as their main person. So it's good that they can do the training for when you're not there, but you need to do most of the training. As you know, I live alone, so I've done all of Millie's training myself. But when she's got to a point where she'll just do everything for me, that's when my mum's had a go at doing things, like getting her to do the basics of sits for treats, or now she gets her to do most of them, to be honest with her. But at least I know that she will listen to my mum if she's got to go and stay at my mum's. And she'll also listen to my dad and my brother. But at the end of the day, I'm the main person that she relies on. I'm the main master. She hasn't got any confusion in there. So if you're not living alone, that is something you definitely need to be very wary of. Make sure that it's you that's spending all the time with the dog. And it all links back together. So you'll be able to put in the hard work if you put them first and you've got the time. And then all of this can pretty much be summarised by one question. Is, are you in the right situation to get a dog? What are your long-term goals? So a lot of people have gone and got a dog during lockdown because they're at home a lot, but what are your plans after lockdown? I think you can judge this based on what your life was like before and what your goals are. So if you're planning to go travelling for a year, it's not right to get a dog. If you know that you'll still be quite a homebody like me and you'll be able to invest the time into a dog, then you can get one. Because at the end of the day, a dog's a big commitment and you need to be 100% sure that you're going to be able to provide the best life for them and you're not going to regret the decision later on down the line. So those are all the questions that I considered before getting a dog. And like I said, I did research into different daycares in the area, different dog walkers, got a rough idea for all the costs, how much time you needed to invest into training them all. And I did as much as I can to prepare myself before she arrived. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos on dog training, read dog training books, just to make sure that I had the underlying knowledge of all the basics, so then I wasn't panicking of when she was going to turn up. And I also watched a lot of these before I made the decision to get a dog, so I had a better understanding of the time commitment. But if I'm completely honest, I think all of those are actually things that you should be considering even if you're not getting a dog on your own. The only big difference is that it's just relying on one person. I hope this video helps you if you're considering getting a dog on your own. If you have any questions on what it is like, then either leave me a comment below and I will answer your question, or follow us over on our Instagram page at Miniature Cockapoo and send me a DM or comment on one of our posts and I'll get back to you. I've also got a Q&A highlight over on our Instagram page where I've answered a couple of questions about being a single dog owner before. So feel free to have a look through there and see if I've answered them in the past. But I'll happily get back to you now as well. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and press the bell notification so you don't miss a video from us. And we will see you next week. Bye! Oh, big stretch, Millie, moo, big stretch. I feel like I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but I'll edit it and figure it out.